So this lot is a third of an acre, and for a Berkeley lot, it's quite large. And there's lots of little spaces in the yard that are very different from each other in character. And we've tried to exploit that as we develop the different parts of the yard. But we didn't finish, and so for whoever buys it, there's lots left to do, and where you can explore your own creativity and making lovely spaces to be. The city of Berkeley does allow you to have chickens, which is a very nice thing. And so we took advantage of that. We wanted them both as pets and also for the eggs, of course. And we would let them, they have their pen, of course, to keep them protected from the raccoons and the possums and the skunks. But we also allow them to run loose and weed the garden beds for us and eat bugs and worms. They love worms. And it's been a real pleasure getting to know chickens as a species. They're very funny. And so we also planted quite a few fruit trees and berry bushes. And we've got a lovely fig tree that produces 2 crops of figs a year, one in about May or June and one in November. This is the citrus orchard as well. So there's lime trees and a blood orange tree. And we have raspberries. You will have raspberries, blueberries, strawberries, and a cherry tree that's supposed to do well in the Bay Area, a plum tree, a Santa Rosa plum tree, and an apricot tree over there. So we're setting it up so we have fruit to eat most of the year. So a gardener's work is never done in Berkeley because you can be growing food crops all the time, or cover crops. And so in the spring, we prepare to put the summer crops in the ground, the tomatoes and the peppers and the corn, squash, beans, those kinds of things. And so when fall rolls around is the time that we get the cover crops in the ground, and we plant fava beans and crimson clover and a number of wildflower seeds that will grow during the winter. So what you're seeing right here is an example of what the cover crops look like in the spring. And they provide food for the bees, and they're just beautiful to see all the flowers. And not only do we have honeybees, but we have lots of native bees here in the backyard, and lots of butterflies as well. You see them more in the fall, or summer and fall, but there's lots of things for pollinators to eat here. Crimson clover, phacelia, the purple flowers, fava beans, they love fava beans. And then these are some volunteer turnips that came up from a crop that I planted the previous year, and I just let them grow because they're a very good cover crop, and you let them go bloom in the spring, and they provide food for the bees. And then vetch over there that's not blooming yet. So it's a mix of a diverse array of crops that both feed the soil and the pollinators. So as part of my consulting work, I've been working for commercial beekeepers and learning about what's causing the problems with the bees. And in learning, I also thought, wouldn't it be nice to have our backyard be a haven for bees? So I thought I would transform the garden into a very special space for the bees, where they had lots of flowers to gather nectar and pollen from. And I started out having only orchard mason bees, which are solitary bees, and the thought of having going into a beehive with 30,000 bees in it was a little daunting at that point. So the orchard mason bees are very simple and not at all aggressive. And then it turns out that having regular honeybees is really not hard. And so we had, at maximum, we had 5 hives here in the yard. And it's a really great place for bees. They really love all of these flowers. And most of the time, there's quite a few of them in the yard, in this particular yard, but often they're off, gathering nectar from the eucalyptus trees up in Tilden Park and the neighbors' yards. Well, when we remodeled the house several years ago, we added another large sliding glass door on the back of the house that exits onto the patio. There was already one set of French doors that opened out, and it's always been kind of an indoor-outdoor house, but the back sliding door made a huge difference, and we redid the patio so it's nice new concrete, and it's a great place to entertain. We would do dinners out there, and we had a big patio heater so that people could stay warm in the Berkeley chill. And it's very private back here. We've never felt the need for any shades on the back windows, for example, because we only look out on the yard and the hillside. So it's also quite a lovely spot for entertaining up in the yard. And here on the upper deck, we will have, we've had several parties with 100 people, and have it catered, and people can wander through the yard and explore the garden paths and look at all the flowers and watch the bees. So the upper part of the yard is one of our favorites. And again, when we first got here, it was all blackberry bushes. But we've flattened out some paths and made steps so that you can walk all the way around the backyard, put in a swing for your favorite kid, and created a lovely little spot up here to sit with a nice view of the water and the trees. This is a lovely little shade spot, so if you'd like shade plants for gardening, you have a place to put those in as well. So for caring for the yard, we have an irrigation system set up with 5 zones, and there's one more zone that's available if you need it. And we, water all the vegetable beds on one side of the yard with one, all the vegetable beds over there, one for the ornamentals, one for the plants close down to the house. So the whole yard has access to irrigation water. And because we've installed mostly drought-tolerant plants, we do a pretty good job of conserving water. We don't have any lawn to water, but most of it's on drip. Almost all of it is on drip. And it's ready access in case you want to expand. So the way the yard lies on the land, it's in a swale. And we have a creek bed that basically runs through the yard. It doesn't run water all year long. It's a seasonal creek. And when we first started gardening this up here, the blackberries were hiding basically a spring. And when we dug the post for the chicken pen, we hit water about 2 feet down. So if you're ever in an emergency situation, need water, just dig. You'll find water. And we've worked hard to make sure the yard drains well and drains into the creek. We've spent some effort making sure that happens, and it works pretty well. So we're excited about that. So the house is close to the creek bed, and when it comes down the hill, we have put pipes in and French drains in that direct the water away from the house and into a drain that goes directly to the street. So the house is protected. The drains, it's important to keep the surface drains clear, but it works really well. We also put in a little pond for the goldfish, and pretty much as soon as we put the pond in, the dragonflies and the water skimmers just appeared out of nowhere. So they found it, and it's really fun to watch them and watch the goldfish, and the water lilies bloom a couple of times a year. So it gives a little place, a little haven for wildlife too. They can use it to drink. We also raise orchard mason bees, and they're a native bee that comes out in the early spring. It's one of the first bees that's out, and they're called mason bees because they gather nectar and pollen, and they put it in. They find a tube, a hollow stem to nest in, and they gather nectar and pollen. They put it back there. They lay an egg on it, and then they use mud to cover up the bee that's they're gestating, and they turn into a mature bee throughout the summer. They overwinter, and then the next spring they come out and start the cycle all over again. So it's really fun to watch them work. And if you don't want big honeybee hives with tens of thousands of bees in it, this is an easy way to kind of ease your way into helping the bees. This is our blackberry bush. It's a lovely, it blooms all summer long, feeds the bees, and then it feeds you when the berries come in. And it's very productive. Lots of jam made off of this bush. So you may wonder how much time we spend maintaining the yard and whether we have help. And in doing building all of the steps and the paths, we had, I did a lot of it myself. and for the very heavy stuff, for carrying rocks up the hill, I would hire people to help with that. But I've since, in the last 2 years, I've since gotten a very wonderful gardener, Joshua Haynes, who has helped me do lots of the new things, planting new plants. He's very good with plants. He knows his plants, and he's very good with stonework, and did some amazing work on creating new steps down there and pathways. So I probably I would go out in the morning and walk around and look at everything and maybe pull a few weeds, and might spend 15-20 minutes every morning. And then on the weekends, you know, I do spend some pretty serious time a couple of times during the year. Spring, when you're turning all the cover crops in and planting the summer crops, and then also in October when you're planting the cover crops and you know, harvesting everything and preparing for winter. The yard has made our lives very special. It's a retreat for both humans, wildlife, chickens, and bees, and it's a creation process that we've started, and I hope the people who buy it will continue and make it their own. It's a lovely spot, and my best wishes to the person who takes it on next.